There we go. And I'm going to share my screen and then we can get started. And then Jordan, you can just go ahead and let anyone in if they come a little later. So. So we're going to go over, let me click on the right tab. Would help. I could move it. Okay. So we're going to go a little bit over the GRE and the MCAT. So the GRE is in preparation for either just graduating college or PA school. A lot of people take the GRE at the end of their 4 years. It's pretty typical before entering the workplace to take it, or any like master's program or whatnot. And then the MCAT is specific to medical schools. Not every school requires it now. I'm pretty sure, like for instance, in Virginia, UVA, I don't think has a requirement anymore, but most schools still require that you take the MCAT. So I know a little bit more about the MCAT. The person who knows more about the GRE, she was unable to attend tonight due to a prior commitment. So I'm just gonna go over as much as I know and what's on the slides. So the organization of the GRE, it's 4 hours. However, it does include breaks, which is good. There are 6 sections. It's very similar to what you've taken before getting into college, you know, like the ACT and the SAT. So you have an analytical writing section, verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning section, and then like a research or science section. So the scoring is going to differ depending on the section. And I assume that means like different sections are going to be weighted differently. And the GRE also offers different subject tests. So I'm sure if you've seen like the SAT, you can take like a chemistry subject test or like a bio one. And so the GRE has similar specialized tools or specialized tests. And you can actually get books that cater to those specific tests and help prepare you for those. Okay, so some of the brands that are really common to both the MCAT and the GRE, Kaplan is really a really great tool. So they have a self-guided course. As you can see, a lot of these things are going to be very expensive. So all these sites like Kaplan and the ones we're going to go over, they sell individual books at a reduced price. We're just going to show you like the comprehensive, like full course packages or full course prep courses, you know, not just like being able to get 1 or 2 books. So you can make it cheaper if you would like. So the self-guided course is $449, as you can see. It has extensive amounts of online activities and instructions to help you. I know Kaplan has a really great online resource that even if you don't buy into a certain prep course, you can still have access to like planning your studying and, you know, getting access to different questions. But they're a really great source in combining the online program with like books and like self-guided prep, I guess is the way to say it. And then there's the self-guided course plus, which as you can see jumps in price to $700. So it has everything in the above self-guided course, but it would also include more about the math sections. If you have any questions related to like what is involved in GRE math, feel free to email us, and Emily can talk to you about that. I am not as familiar with the GRE, or Jordan as well. She's just breaking up a little bit. So if you like type a question, I'm sure she could help answer it. Okay, so for online courses, these are like prep courses where, you know, you get a tutor, or you have some sort of online interaction where they help you work through your study. So the first one, this is a pretty low base price, $1,000. A little sad, but oh gosh, but that's pretty typical. So that includes 21 hours of live instruction, like one-on-one sessions, and then They also now have like a lot of recorded sessions. So like, I don't know if your teachers record your Zoom lessons, it's just very similar to that. And you can just go to the channel and click on different classes and just, watch it as many times as you need to, basically. So the plus, Kaplan is most of their packages, they build upon each other. So you can get like the lowest one, and then everything that goes above it includes the previous package, except has added features. So you don't really want to buy more than one. You just want to pick which one is right for you and stick with that. Because if you buy one and then you decide to upgrade later, you get all the same stuff that you would have bought in the lower package, basically. So as you can see, it includes everything and 3 hours of one-on-one tutoring. So one-on-one tutoring is probably the most expensive thing you're gonna find when you're looking at these prep courses. I know that some people offer it, like if you see on Facebook, people post, oh, I'm a GRE tutor, I'm an MCAT tutor. So the one good thing about like Kaplan and other sources is that you're getting what you pay for. Like these people know what they're doing, they've done this a lot, they're known to get results. And there are some really good people out there that have like already taken the test and scored well. It's just you kind of need to vet them yourselves a little bit, because just because someone can test well themselves doesn't mean they're going to be good at helping you do well on the test. So if you want to just find someone who can do it at a lower price, just make sure that you do your homework on them and that you guys are compatible in a tutor, 2D, I guess, that's not a word, but a situation. There we go. Hey, Jordan, someone was trying to join. Can you check the waiting room? Okay, well, I will check it in 1 second. But for now, we're gonna look at additional book resources. As you can see, this is what the GRE prep book typically looks like. You can just get the general prep book, but this would not come with any of the online resources and like the 1,000 question bank or whatnot. But it's really good if you just want to get it and see how you do on your own, to just buy the book from Amazon, and then you can move on to looking at if you need more help like tutoring. Okay, so another common name that you may have heard of is the Princeton Review. They also have a self-paced course. As you can see, it's very comparable in price to Kaplan. They have 8 practice tests, lots of online questions and interactive lessons. It's very similar to Kaplan, just they offer different numbers of tests and they have different pros and cons that we'll go over a little later. And then you can see that this is the GRE. They typically call their online prep courses by numbers, like they have a MCAT 510 plus or the GRE 162 plus, where they're promising you a score. If you ever see someone promising you a score, just make sure that you do your research on that and you read all the terms, because sometimes they'll say like that we promise you this score or you get your money back, but there's like stipulations under that. So just make sure you know exactly what you're buying into, and maybe read some reviews on what people say about like, do they actually get the score, or what you have to do in order to make sure you can achieve the same thing that they promise. So as you can see, this is significantly more expensive, a $2,000 prep course. It has lots of practice questions, practice tests, live instruction by a GRE expert. This is like a pretty typical course. I don't see a ton on private tutoring in here, but again, that's like the most expensive thing that you're going to see in these prep courses. So this one doesn't look like it necessarily includes any private sessions. So when should you prepare for the GRE? So you should definitely begin 2 to 4 months before your test date. If you feel like you don't have 2 to 4 months of solid commitment, you can always start earlier, just to start becoming familiar with it. But you should really be focusing heavily upon it at least 2 to 4 months before your test date. Definitely suggest creating a study schedule. So if you set aside the time, it's a lot harder to just not end up studying. Just make sure that you're writing down different times that you should be trying to set aside half an hour or an hour a week to study. And then as you get closer, you want to expand that time. It can be hard with your school schedule. So, you know, maybe pick a semester where you're not as busy. One of the biggest things is practice tests. These are so useful and knowing when to take them. So you might want to take one as soon as you get the book, take one and see exactly where you're at. Like see if there's anything that you're naturally good at or already know, or if there's an area that you really, really need to work on. So I wouldn't suggest taking all the tests in the beginning or waiting till the end to take them all, but you should try to like break them up so that you take kind of like a practice test in the beginning as a diagnostic, and then space it out to see how you're improving and like what to work on as you get closer and closer to your test date. So the test itself is expensive. It's around $205 to take the test. So you definitely don't want to take it until you feel like you're ready to score fairly well. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you need to take it again, but you don't want to just be like, oh, I'm just going to take it and see how it goes, because it's a lot of money. You can register online or by phone or by mail. I think most people will probably use the online option. So moving on to the MCAT real quick. It's basically used for medical schools. Unlike the GRE, it's more specialized. It involves problem solving, critical thinking, and written analysis. So we're going to get a little bit into the organization. So this exam is significantly longer. So this is definitely not for someone just taking it for funsies. This is like a committed, you're prepared, a full day event that takes a lot of preparation to go into. So it's a 7.5 hour exam, but you have 3 total breaks. So like 2 10-minute breaks and a 30-minute break, probably like for lunch or something in the middle of the exam, depending on when you're taking it. So there are 4 sections. I know that it's changed. Geez, so sensitive. I know that it's changed recently. Like it used to focus more on OChem, and I know that they've moved away from some of that, and like the physics, they've moved away from that a little bit, but it's still very similar to what it used to be. The 4 sections are chemical and physical foundations of biological systems, critical analysis and reasoning skills, biological and biochemical foundations of living systems, psychological, social, and biological foundations of behavior. So as you can see, all the sections are pretty similar in length, and one just being 5 minutes shorter. So what you have is you have this chemistry basically and physics sections, like your hard classic courses that you took from school, in addition to the biological and biochemical foundations of the living system, like your heavy biology courses. And then your critical analysis and reasoning skills, that's not like about a class that you've taken, that's like analyzing the way you think. So it's a little similar to like the SAT and the ACT questions, looking at how you approach a problem. And then the psychological, social, and biological foundations of behavior, that's like the psychology and sociology classes that you've been taking. So for the 4 sections, they're scored from 118 to 132. And as you can see, the mean or median is at 125. So typically a score that people reach for, you know, as you'll see, the Princeton Review likes to promise like a good score is around a 510. But there's nothing to say that that's the make it or break it number for sure. The MCAT contains integrated sections, which means that the subjects are not tested independently, but include overlapping areas of concentration. And you can kind of see that in the way that they've named their sections as well. They're never going to have like okay, here's your OChem, and we're going to ask you 10 OChem questions, and that's it. Like a lot of the questions relate to each other and call on lots of different areas of what you've been studying. Okay, so as we saw earlier, the Princeton Review is also very good or very well known in their MCAT reviews. So their prep book price, this is actually less expensive than the GRE. You can see it's $150. This comes with 7 complete subject guides. So as you saw, there were 4 sections to the test, but there's like 7 subjects that are covered. It's just some of the sections cover more than one subject at a time. But most of the prep courses divide it into seven subjects specifically. This has 3 online practice tests and lots of practice questions. So practice test is like you sitting down and taking the full thing and seeing exactly how you did, pacing yourself. Sorry. And then practice questions are just, you look at 1 or 2 questions at a time. You can, spread them out throughout your day however you would like. So I've included some information. I'm not going to read all this on the average prep course. So as you can see, this is very expensive, getting like one-on-one instruction or working with different groups and getting access to more subject material. It really boosts the price. So it's around $3,000. And you can see all the things that are included for this specific prep course. This is like the middle tier one. They have some lower priced ones and they have some that are more expensive as well. I think they go up to $6,000 or $7,000 if you're looking for like an intense boot camp. I just want to go over some of the cons that have been reported for the Princeton Review is that there's actually some extra material that's in these review guides that aren't in the tests anymore, even the updated ones like the 2021 to 2022. It's just been reported that the Princeton Review, for some reason, puts in more than you need to know. So just making sure that you're really not overloading yourself with extra material that you don't need to use to score well on your test is good to know. Additionally, some people say that there's not enough visual aids in the physics section and whatnot. So if you weren't super strong at physics or you're a heavy visual learner, this might not be the best option for you. So moving on to Kaplan, I actually have this one currently that I'm working with. I got this and the flashcards. So the prep book price is $300. This includes 7 subject books, online practice material and guidance, and I think it's 6 practice exams, I believe. So it's been rated pretty well. I really appreciate the way that they've divided the subjects up and how they kind of break down how you're going to approach it on the test. And what Kaplan does really well is they have a great online program that can help you track your progress. Like you can help schedule when you want to study or when you want to take your practice tests. And they really integrate the online learning with the prep book course that you've purchased. And I really appreciate with them is they have a diagnostic test that before you even start studying, I think it's like 4 hours, they have you take like a miniature test basically, so just to see exactly what you're good at and where your strengths are and what you really need to focus on. Again, they have an average prep course is $3,000 again at Kaplan. You can read if you would like. These are all the things that are included with that purchase. As you see, there's only 3 hours of one-on-one tutoring. So as I've stressed before, one-on-one tutoring is a very expensive thing. I think Kaplan offers like a boot camp for almost $7,000 where you're like 5 weeks, like with a few other people just focusing on the test and only the test and just getting a lot of help. But a lot of people don't have that kind of money or time to devote to this. So just understanding what you're getting when you pay for it is a really important thing. So some cons for this, as you can see, it's expensive. So I'll reiterate, for Kaplan and Princeton, you can buy the individual books. Like you don't have to get this prep course and it reduces the price. But again, you don't want to buy the lower level package and then go back later and buy the higher one because the higher one usually includes what the lower one has. So like you don't want to double spend, if that makes any sense. Also, another con is that it's very in depth with a lot of content. So like if you're not willing to be starting your studying far in advance, you're not going to be able to get it done. This is not like I have a month or 2 before the test. I need to like cram it all in there, figure it out, like fast pace. This is, I have a lot of time and I'm going to stretch it out and really try to familiarize myself with all of the material. Yeah, so that's a little bit about the MCAT and the GRE. So I've recorded this if you guys want to go back and see it later as well. I'm going to stop sharing this screen. Does anyone have any questions related to any of the tests or course or whatnot? Course prep sites, I guess. If you like want to type a question, that's fine. Or if you don't, you can just like, that's totally fine as well. Okay, awesome. So last thing I'm just going to say is just make sure that you do your homework on whatever you decide to go with. And if you do decide to use a private tutor because you work well, yes, thank you. If you do decide to do a private tutor because you work well in a one-on-one scenario, just make sure you really, really vet the person because they're going to be working for you. And you want to make sure that you're not finding someone who got a perfect score on the MCAT and then has no idea how to help you get that score and doesn't understand how you learn. So you want to be compatible and you want to make sure that they can achieve results because as you can see through Kaplan and Princeton, you're going to be able to get those really reliable people, but you're also going to be spending a lot of money. So just make sure that you're an advocate for yourself as well. And then last thing I want to mention is in the email we sent out some information about some positions. So if you're interested in running, just shoot me an email by the end of today because I'm going to be sending out people's like nominations and what they want to do to run for the position tonight so that we can vote. So thank you very much. If you have any questions or comments, you can stay on or type it in the chat. And I appreciate you guys coming out to join us.
Thank you.